And welcome back to the Press Star Podcast. This is episode number 63, and I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin', and of course, I'm joined by my co host, Lunatic Oblivion.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? It is a wonderful Sunday. We're fresh into October here. We've got Overwatch 2 that dropped, got some new games coming this week. What's new with you, Vic?
Not much, man. Just been just trying to play some games and just dealing with work issues or issues that I'm dealing with at work. But nonetheless, man, how was your stream today? I know you had your last little bit of Life is Strange going on.
Yeah, so I finished Life is Strange today. It was an interesting game, I'd gotta say. I was surprised going into the fifth act of the game, but a little disappointed with the ending. But that being said, the game was something between indie and AAA, where it felt like an indie game from a studio that does AAA games. So it was their bounce back game. But I could see how the series started to take off and really found its stride later on.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I've never played it, and I'm really eager to check it out. But what else have you been playing?
So, as I said, I played Life is Strange and I beat that today. I've also been playing a new single player game, Let's Build a Zoo, which is on Game Pass. I've also been putting the time on Valorant. We've been
Hmm.
playing some games on and off stream. We also have, I've been playing some Splatoon 3. That's a big one going on right now. The new Splatfest is coming down the corner here soon. And Sly Cooper, I also picked that up on the PlayStation 5 store the other day just to play that. And honestly, it's as good as I remember.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a classic, and I really hope that we get a new entry in that series. I think PlayStation could hit home with one of those again, and that would probably give me more of a reason to get a PlayStation because Sly Cooper is one of my favorite franchises that unfortunately went dormant.
I'm hoping we get to see something like maybe a new Sly Cooper game or something in the series because it honestly is one of those staples like Jack and Daxter, Sly Cooper, we've got Ratchet and Clank. There's so
Hmm.
many staples that come out of PlayStation that really made it what it is that just are gone.
Right, right. Yeah, the only one that's really around anymore is Ratchet and Clank, and I know there's talks for a Jack and Dexter movie or TV series, and I'm like, well, that's kind of random because we haven't had a Jack and Dexter game in I can't tell you how long.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's been, I think, the early 2000s, maybe 2004.
Right, so it's been a long while.
So what have you been up to?
So I've been playing. Obviously, you suck at parking. I talk about this game all the time, and it's just a game that I'm just hooked on, dude. Like I literally will hop in and play a couple, try to get through a couple courses whenever I can. But I was literally stuck on this one course for like 3 days. Could not fucking beat it, and it just kept wanting me to come back because I was just like, I can do it. I know I can do
Hmm.
this, and I finally got through it and whatnot. But it's great. It's a really fun game.
Hmm.
It's nothing that you can really get hung up on. Like I don't think there's going to be any bad ratings in regards to this kind of game. And I know you said you downloaded it, but you haven't played it yet.
Yeah, no, I've been playing a bunch of other stuff, and it's one of those games that just like don't really have time to play it right now with so much going on.
Right. I've been playing it like whenever we're about to play like Overwatch or something, and I'll just hop in and play that until everybody's on, and then I can
Hmm.
hop right in Overwatch. It's like one of those kind of pick up, drop off kind of games. But other than that one though, I started up Metal Hellsinger, which is that new indie game that just recently dropped, and it's that one where you got to shoot or kill people to the beat. And it's set in like that doom kind of world, and it's play and you're listening to like metal music, like heavy metal kind of music. So it's definitely different. I've played through the first like level per se, and it took about 45 minutes, and I only think there's only like 4 areas, so it should be a pretty quick game that I'm streaming through. So definitely be on the lookout on my replay over at the Shoot to Win YouTube channel here soon. But
Hmm.
yeah, other than those two games, more competitive, I guess, would say is Valorant, of course, Call of Duty Warzone. I've been getting a lot of practice in with my team over at Shoot to Win because Modern Warfare 2 is right around the corner with Warzone 2 following up a couple weeks after that. So we got to get some chemistry going and figuring out how we're going to mesh well and whatnot. So I've been putting in that kind of work. And then obviously Overwatch 2, and we also played some Grounded, which we missed out on our play session today. But talking about Grounded version 1.01 drop, what came in
Hmm.
that drop?
Jokes aside, bug fixes. That's pretty
Ba-dum-tsh.
much it. So the game itself looks like it's going to keep getting some updates as we go forward, which is pretty cool. So I'm excited to play Grounded and actually really get through the game with our group. Hopefully we'll be able to play some more this week here, but we got a bunch of releases coming out. Talking about big releases though, you've also been playing Overwatch 2 as you said.
Mhm. Yeah.
Overwatch 2, what do you think of the game?
Yeah, man. Overwatch 2. I'm still in that, like, that middle ground. Like, I've never really was a fan of the first one to begin with. It's probably because I hopped in so late into the release, and then with Overwatch 2, like, I've had my ups and downs. Where some games I'm like, yo, I'm doing good, and then some games I'm like, this shit's boring, or like, I feel like I'm getting just curb stomped. So it just like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel balanced in certain ways, and I just don't
Hmm.
like how I have to empty like 4,000 bullets into somebody to even do some kind of damage. Like I
I get what
just
you're going for there. Real quick though, shout out to chat. I'll post a quick link for those who had a question. Grounded is one of Obsidian's newer games. It's a survival four-player
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah,
builder story game. But
right.
yeah, no, let's the so Overwatch this week. We had their launch of Overwatch 2. It's pretty much Overwatch 1 just with some reskins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But dude, how about those login queues this week? For those who don't know, Overwatch 2 had login queues because it was being DDoSed, and it was just that shit was insane, dude. I literally had friends, we had friends who were
Yeah.
getting down to like, one, like it's counting down from the last 10 players, and then it goes, "What's your username and password?" And they're like, "What?"
Yeah, that's weird. I
And
didn't
then
run into that issue.
and then it shot him back to the 40,000 queue. I got down to like one person left, and then it shot me to 30,000, and I was like, "I'm done. Close."
Right. Yeah, we literally sat there because the game released at like noon, I think, that day, and then I didn't hop on until like 5 or 6, and we literally sat there for like 3 hours. I was like the first person in, played through the tutorial, about to do the AI battles, disconnected. I'm like, fuck. Back to the queue I go, and yeah, sat in the 40,000 for a couple hours, and we eventually got in. I think I played like 3 or 4 maybe matches, and the ending got kicked out again. I was like, yeah, no,
Dude,
that's it.
I like the second or third day there, I was able to finally get in, and then they had a new bug start, which was your whole roster gets locked. So, like, champions you may have like half the shit unlocked for, they're like, the champion's now locked.
Yeah, I
And
just
you're
hope
like,
that they
wait,
clean.
what?
I just hope they clean this game up because this is supposed to be like a big game. But I do agree, like this doesn't necessarily feel like a new game. This is literally
It
like,
doesn't feel like a
the,
AAA launch.
right. To me, it's just what I'm seeing online is the perfect thing is Overwatch One remastered or remixed. Like that's all we're
Hmm.
getting here. Like there's nothing new about it. I don't see anything new. Obviously, we have a couple new characters, but that's
They rebranded the style of play down to five-person teams instead of six, which I don't like as much. I still would prefer, I think, six-player teams. But the games feel a little more they feel a little bit changed. They do feel curb stompy though, I feel. It gets a little harder now because like the tanks themselves are thrashing and certain characters are just a must-have right now. Like you just can't play without certain characters and they can choose other ones, but you're just gonna get your face thrown, you're gonna get your face curb stomped. If you don't have a Mercy on the team, for example, it's really garbage. Like it doesn't feel like the game as it used to be, which is like very much a sort of tug of war. It feels very curb stompy, like we're going
hmm
all in, you lose.
yeah. And I just think like when it was like two tanks involved, that means the healers would technically probably be split up. Instead, now you have both healers healing the same one person. They're never going to die, and then they're out here just annihilating
Well, and not
people.
only that, you had off-tank metas as well and main tank metas. So like you would play certain champs as like the push tank and then other champs as like a side tank. And then you didn't have to focus heal all the time on that side tank, but now like you have one tank and they're like a fucking brick house.
Yeah.
But if the whole team turns and focuses, like they can be easily thrashed. And like the biggest problem right now is it just feels very, very triangular in the strategy. Like your team is playing, everyone's playing right behind that tank, and we're struggling to find, I think the community is struggling to find how to play the game now that everyone's just standing sort of in a blob against each other.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. I see a lot of balancing issues that they're going to have to cycle through and fix, whether they're buffing characters or nerfing characters. There's definitely going to be a lot of that over the next while. But one thing that did pop up though was the cosmetic purchases for a single champ could take up to 5 years of weekly grinding to unlock. When someone came out with these statistics, I was like, "That's disgusting." I don't play a game for 5 years, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah. To buy all of the skins for a single champion would take you 5 years of weeklies just to be able to get that one character's complete set of skins.
right,
It's a little
one
rough
character,
in my,
yeah.
yeah, one.
Unless you want to buy it,
So,
right? Can you buy this stuff?
yeah, you can
Yeah.
spend real money. Like, honestly, I actually miss the loot boxes. I was real talk. Like, I was talking with friends and I'm like, I miss the loot boxes. One of our community members, Shayla, she was like, yeah, where's loot boxes again? Because that shit felt good. You got loot boxes for playing the games. Now you get pennies and shit costs fucking $1,000.
Right. Yeah, so there's definitely
So,
a big discrepancy. Like loot boxes in general aren't a good thing for gaming. It produces a lot of gambling issues and the underage gambling and a lot of
but
lawsuits
then the
that are
flip
going on.
side they start doing is this cash shop where everything costs an arm and a leg. And Valorant's the biggest issue, I gotta say. They're the
Yes.
ones who lead like $50 for, a whole pack of skins, and you get like what, four skins?
Yeah, at least Call of Duty I think does it better. Like you're getting a whole
Yeah, I
pack for
agree.
like 10, 15, $20. Like they have reasonable ones, they have ones that are affordable, some of them that are like exclusive, like really really detailed. Like those ones are going to be more high end, but you get what you pay for when it comes to Call of
Yeah,
Duty. Valorant, it don't matter if this shit looks good or not. It's $100. You're like, can't do it. Like how about the
yeah,
championship skin? You get the one skin in like a buddy or
for 50
whatever
bucks.
for $50. That's absurd. It doesn't do anything. It just fucking looks cool. Like I
Yeah.
don't get it, dude.
Yep. And let's talk about for a minute here the fact that like if you were playing the game, there's a chance that like there are bugs right now where if you do the wrong, like if you're trying to say chat with somebody, the chat doesn't lock out the buttons behind the scenes. So like you could be going through menus and shit while typing to your friends, and you could be buying skins. Some people bought skins by accident while trying to type to their friends, and there are no refunds. So like now you've spent all this time trying to get this currency, and you just bought a skin you didn't want.
Yeah, I just think the fact that there's no refunds, like they have to backtrack on that eventually. Like this is a bug that was your problem, not mine.
But like it's Activision Blizzard we're talking about here. Shit's not gonna go back. They're like, yep, sorry, you gotta get more currency. Oh well.
You got to keep playing our game, I guess, huh? If you really want it.
So it's a little bit of a mess, but I gotta say I do enjoy Overwatch. I can't I keep playing it and I don't feel like win or lose, I still feel like I'm having fun for the most part. Whereas like
Hmm.
Valorant, that time investment is really crazy. But like with Overwatch, games can be anywhere from 3 minutes to 10 minutes, and like it feels good.
Right. I mean, even I think it was yesterday. I streamed for like 4.5 hours. So
Yeah,
I don't even stream Valorant that long.
yeah, and like I didn't feel bad playing it. Like I would play ranked Overwatch and still feel good. That's what I want to go back into.
That'll be
And like
interesting.
yeah, Splatoon's the same way. Disney, I agree. Oh, good. The games are just so short and easy. It feels nice. You don't want to stop playing.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm sure we'll follow Overwatch 2 though over the next couple of weeks, see how that plays out, any new updates or bug fixes, and hopefully new characters and stuff or new maps that we'll see over the next couple of weeks or months. But
Definitely.
let's dive into the game releases. We're gonna a couple of them that we're interested in, not opposed to all of them this week.
All right. So the game releases this week. Let's just hit on number one first and foremost. The one that excites me. I'm excited for Scorn. That drops this week, and I'm actually really excited for the Friday release of Scorn. Like this is a game that we've been kind of following for a few weeks now, for a few months actually. And it's that the same director who made the some of the Aliens movies is making, is the creative director behind this new game Scorn. It's dropping for Xbox Series X and S, One, and PC only. So this is actually a Microsoft exclusive.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one.
That's that's exciting. And it's Game Pass day one. Like I'm really excited to play this game, dude. Like this game has me really hyped. And for those of you who don't know, it's a single player game. Scorn is going to be a first person shooter, and it's very much like it's got that atmospheric horror feel about it, and there's no multiplayer. It is literally day one Game Pass, and it's just a single player game.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. I've been following this game actually for a lot longer. This game was announced back in 2014, and I've been
Hmm.
following it. And yeah, once they it came up on Microsoft stage, and we were like, "What is this game?" Like, and it felt so familiar. You were like, "Why does this look familiar?" And then you were like, "Okay." Like once they came out and they said that it's Geiger, the guy who created like most of the art and the design for all the Alien movies. You were like, no shit, like it's
Yeah,
exactly his art style. And then we were like, is this set in the Alien universe? Because like there's a lot of shit that resembles exactly what you see in those movies, just like Prometheus, or the most recent one was Alien Covenant. That's where it's very similar to, and I'm like, ooh, I like this because those are some of my favorite movies. I mean, hell, remember when we were in England and we got to go do that experience of
Secret Cinema.
Secret Cinema with Prometheus? Like that was a dope ass experience. Like that was one of my favorite movies at the time. Then we got to experience that like that. That was dope.
Yeah, no, it was super awesome. But like, what else is coming out this week that's also really cool? Like, like for me, I thought it was really interesting talking about trying Project Triangle Strategy is actually that was a Switch exclusive.
Hmm.
It's now going to PC.
Just another one coming to PC. It's like PC's the
Like,
place to play, right?
yeah, like it doesn't matter if you're on PlayStation, Xbox, or Switch now. Your shit's coming to PC. Like, we look at Octopath Traveler. That was a Switch exclusive. The second game, PC. PC day one.
Right. And I mean that's exciting though, honestly. Just for it gets to more audiences and stuff like that. Like maybe someone didn't want to get a Switch and now they have a PC, or maybe they even have a Steam Deck. I'm sure that it'll come via Steam, and just you'll be able to play it just like if you were playing it on the Switch, just probably at a higher fidelity if they haven't
Yeah,
like
exactly.
upscaling it.
And then we also have Lego Bricktales. I know this is a game you said you were excited for. So like Lego Bricktales is gonna be a current gen, so it's not next gen, but it's a PS5, Xbox X and S, 4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch game, all releasing for the same day. This is on the 12th on Wednesday.
Hmm.
What's going on with Bricktales? What is this? Because I thought this was supposed to be something like uh Roblox, but it's not. It's not one of these build your own, world kind of games. It's an actual puzzle game.
Right, yeah. So basically, you embark on a journey across like different beautifully designed biomes, and there's like a bunch of puzzles and stuff like that, and you're trying to inspire to help like your grandfather like rebuild the like amusement park in the end, but like you have to like rescue these people or get these parts. And but to be able to solve the puzzles you have to become like this master builder, and you got to build these contraptions or vehicles or whatever, and to get to the certain point of the map. And the thing is like you can keep trying over and over because not every solution is going to work. Like it the one that I keep seeing showcases, like they have to build like a helicopter type vehicle, and if you don't balance out the weight properly, you're going to go off the map. You're going to go right. You're going to go down. Like you're not going to be able to reach the point that you actually want to get to. So I don't know about you, but I love puzzle games, and I'm really looking forward to Lego Brick Tales. I haven't played a Lego game in so long, and this is a different take on a Lego game because it's not like the Star Wars one or the Batman one, the Marvel one. Like you're running around with all these characters and fighting and stuff like that. Like this one seems pretty cool, and I love the building aspect of Legos. I played with Legos as soon as I could, as far back as I can remember. Legos have
Hmm.
been an
Same.
intricate part of my life, so really excited for this one. It comes out on the 12th. There's no price on this yet. I'm really curious on why because it comes out in 3 days. I haven't seen any prices yet.
Yeah, that is actually quite interesting for me as well. It's like, what are we doing with it? And like, there's no real big like backing behind it. Like, it's hard to find any information about it other than to go to the Steam page, really.
Right, yeah, because right now you can download the demo, and then it has the planned release date of the 12th, and you can add it to your wish list, and that's it. I'm like, okay, I hope it comes out this week at this point.
It's planned, not actual release date. What else is on the list for you, Vic? Like, so I know you kept a few games on the list for the releases this week that really interest you.
Yeah, we got Eternal Cylinder. That
Cylinder.
cylinder is coming to basically next gen. This is like an older game, I guess, but it seems like one of those like very small indie type games, and you're running around with these like really weird shaped aliens, and just from the art style, and I've seen some gameplay. I was like, I'm curious. I like these random sci-fi kind of indie developed like exploration like kind of adventure games, and it looks pretty cool to me. And this one comes out on the 13th, so again this week. This was originally released last year, September 30th, 2021, on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. But now it's getting its next gen upgrade, which is pretty cool to see. Now I'll be able to experience it at its highest fidelity.
Hmm. That's pretty cool. It looks interesting. Like it looks like you got a few different characters you get to play as and stuff like that. There are 50 unique different mutations that you can change your character into. Kind of went by the wayside, honestly. I don't even remember talking about this last year.
I don't think we did. I think it was just that small of an indie game at that time, but like obviously it had to garner enough attention or meaning that they're going to give it a next gen upgrade instead of moving
Mhm.
on to their next project.
Yeah, definitely. So we also got a new kart racing game this week, which I don't know. I really don't know if I'm excited. It's Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3, the Slime Speedway.
Right.
Like I don't know if I'm into this. Like it just
I mean, it's just like why would we? Especially the way that like um Mario Kart is
yeah.
still getting the like quarterly drops of
Well,
like new maps and shit like that. Like
well, not only that, it just feels like any Nickelodeon game right now is doomed to fail. Like, look, Multiverses is the only game we talk about when we talk about the competitive fighting scene that mirrors Smash.
right.
There isn't really another game like Mario Kart, and let's be honest, as you said, Mario Kart's still getting updated. Like, it's getting retro tracks like every 2, 3 months. Like, we're on the third one now already.
Yeah, so I don't see any meaning behind this. I'm just curious like if is it eventually going to get to the peak where it's like, all right, cool, this game is actually good, because I don't like the first two. I don't think were very successful, but they had to garner some success out of it if they wanted to make a third one.
Like, let's be honest, there were a first two question mark because
Yeah,
like
right.
I don't even remember them. They they literally are making sequels to make sequels. It feels like they're like we're struggling. Let's get into the game world because like other people are doing it. Why can't we?
I
Because
mean, it makes
like
sense. It makes sense for Nickelodeon to be in it. Like they have such a
yeah,
large cast of characters to pull from. But the issue is when they use
don't
these
make good
characters,
games.
well that too. But like when they use these characters, they don't use the original voice actors. So then like the characters that we grew up with, we grown attached to that personality, that
Well,
voice.
they don't even use the current voice actors either for like stuff where the voice actors may have changed over time.
Right. So like SpongeBob and stuff, like you don't hear the original SpongeBob. Like that just sounds weird to me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
I think that's the
I
biggest problem.
But yeah. So I see you've added PGA Tour 2K23. Why?
This is I added this one because one, I heard that this one is the PGA Tour 2K games actually been on the up and coming sports games to check out, and I wanted to
Is it
cover this
because of
one.
the Saudi money that's behind it?
Yeah, maybe. Well, it's not. It wouldn't be Saudi because Saudi is for the other brand of golf, not PGA. They're trying to steal players from the PGA Tour.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't realize there were multiple brands of golf.
yeah.
Like,
Now there is. They're trying to take them away. Like there's like if the NFL versus like the like if there was a different NFL, which I guess there was like the Canadian Football League or something like that. But yeah, PGA Tour though is it's pretty cool because they're adding like playable characters like you'll be able to play as Michael Jordan, Steph Curry into this, so it's like a pretty cool like crossover between sports because you
what?
know these guys, but these guys are like known for how good they are in golf. Like Michael Jordan was always good at golf, so was Steph Curry, even though they played basketball. But it's just the crossover, and
Yeah,
they already have like the skins, like the resources, because they already make NBA 2K. They can just transition those assets right into the PGA game.
I guess, yeah, but uh, I don't know. I'm not a golf player. I'd
Yeah,
rather
me
just
either.
play Wii golf or like
The Mario Golf
Switch
game.
golf. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. Cool, I guess. Oh,
Right.
golf clap. But and it's not even next gen exclusive either, which bothers me. It's like when are we gonna finally get rid of the old generation?
It's going to be tough until there's less restraints on like access to these consoles. Still, like it's still
Well, that's the
restricted.
thing. They're available. They're all over the place.
It seems like they're tough. Like every time I pop into stores, you can't buy them. There'd be like an Xbox Series S, but you can't get an X.
fair enough.
PS5, I've never seen a PS5 in stores ever.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw one the other day. Like I seeing a bunch of people playing them. But the last game we have on here for the week is Dragon Ball The Breakers. So we got ourselves a one versus many game again, like one of those normal people versus serial killer style games. So we got Dragon Ball Breakers dropping on October 14th, and it's the players, like it's between like one or seven players versus one of the main three villains from the original Dragon Ball Z series, being Cell, Majin Buu, and
Frieza.
Frieza.
Yeah.
So like it's looks interesting. I'm wondering how good it's gonna be, but it looks like a meme that's trying to just sort of play off the other ones. Like it's definitely a difference, I think, from what we traditionally get from a Dragon Ball game.
Yeah, this is way different than what we would get out of a Dragon Ball game, which is more of like a fighting game that we would see. But it's just because they're trying to enter that market that's like up and coming, like real big, real popular. I guess per se, it's like when Battle Royale first came out of nowhere. They're like,
Like we haven't seen any games in this market in a while that really are taking off. There's not these big names right now for these games. I'm not seeing their presence in the news outlets that I'm looking at. So like I'm not sure why we're getting this now, because the other ones, they don't really, they seem to sort of blip and then fall out. They're gone.
right. I mean, but Dead by Daylight's really popular. Friday the 13th is really popular. We got a Ghostbusters game coming out soon. Texas Chainsaw comes out or already is out, and
But like
those have
that's
been
what I
really doing
mean.
really well. Like they're all doing good. The ones that are actually out.
But they're not like highly played is the thing. They're not as big as, like they may be popular, but they're not like trending or they're big or anything. They're okay, it seems.
Yeah, it's a niche market right now, and I just don't think it's gonna be around for too much longer. Hopefully.
No,
I mean,
I
because thinking
definitely
about
don't
it,
feel
like
like
I
it's gonna
remember,
be around.
remember when one of the first games of it came out. Honestly, was Evolve. Like we talked about this before, and like
Mhm.
everyone like shunned that game. Like, oh, this is trash. Nobody wants to play this
And then
type of
all of a
game.
sudden people wanted to play it again.
Right? Everyone was like, oh, let's play this game. It's great. Let's play it, and let's make clones of it. So it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we finished up with the game releases already for this week, and honestly, I think hands down, Scorn has to be the game that we're most excited for.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to play it this upcoming weekend. Like you said, it drops on Friday the 14th.
Definitely make sure you comment below or even leave us a message in chat if you're viewing us live. Let us know what you're most excited for this week. Maybe we missed something and you would have liked to talk about it too, because honestly, for me, I don't. This week, Scorn is the winner.
Yeah, hands down. But
All right, so industry news here, Vic. We've got 2K games. So we were just talking about PGA 2K23 for all consoles. Let's talk about 2K games, their mishap this week.
yeah, so basically they had to address support for their site being hacked, and basically they were revealing like personal data for users and stuff like that. So if you have a 2K account, whether you're playing NBA 2K, PGA 2K, shit, I think they own like even like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands if I'm not mistaken. Like
Hmm.
you might want to check and make sure your password wasn't like had
Compromised.
compromised. So you might want to reset those kind of passwords. So definitely want to be on the lookout for that. I actually still have to do it myself because I know I have a bunch of 2K stuff sign-ins that I should probably just
Well,
wipe.
if you have unique passwords for all your different sites, then you should be fine, right, Vic? Or do
Oh
you
yeah,
use one
definitely.
password for everything?
You never know.
Yeah, we're not gonna worry about it, I guess.
No.
Okay, let's talk about Microsoft, though, dude. So, like, Microsoft this week, good news for them. Brazil has now approved the merger between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. So, like, we're getting closer. I don't, honestly, I don't think anyone's gonna stop them. They're gonna merge. We're just going through the run, just pretty much through the ringer right now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
I
it.
mean, but this was big. I think Brazil is now the second country that approved this. It's currently like up in battle, I guess, in EU because PlayStation keeps
Yes.
going over there and complaining, "Oh, it's not fair, guys. It's not fair." Like, no, it's fair. You guys are just butthurt right now that you couldn't afford them, I guess,
Yeah,
at this point.
it is going to become a monopoly though. That's the only thing that scares me is the monopoly of gaming. because it's going to be a huge monopoly on the market. Game Pass is going to be a monopoly.
Yeah, I mean, but at least they're keeping like, but they already announced like any game that they get from Microsoft or Activision Blizzard, at least Call of Duty will be continue to be on all platforms. Like they're not gonna
Hmm.
make that exclusive. Like they would lose a lot of money in the end if they made an exclusive. Like they know how much it's worth to PlayStation, and they're gonna keep it on PlayStation.
Hmm. I don't know. I just they say that, but like it's really easy to just say, well, now you need to buy it from us or get Game Pass.
Right.
Like, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but like Game Pass is big. Like they're making a lot of money. So I wouldn't expect them. I would literally not be surprised if they just said we're pulling it from all platforms and you have to have Game Pass or buy it from our store.
Right.
Like I wouldn't be surprised. It's just easy money right there, dude. It's
Right.
just so much money we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I see them doing it, and I see them not doing it. I mean, look what they did with like Bethesda. Like all of their current games, yeah, continue to be on that platform. That's great. But any new projects, sorry, come to Xbox. You want to play Starfield? You want to play Redfall? Those are going to be two huge hitters next year. Got
Yeah.
to come to Xbox if
And
you want to play those.
that might be the scary thing we're looking at with Activision Blizzard. So that's the only thing that worries me about this merger.
Right. Well, at least you got nothing to worry about if you got a PC.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to worry, but then again, they're still a monopoly because, even if I'm on PC, all my games are going to start coming from them. I'm not going to even use Steam anymore, it feels like.
Right. Well,
But
hopefully they
let's
improve
talk
their
about,
launcher though, then, because we know how bad that
yeah.
launcher can be for Xbox.
Yeah, dude. All right. So PlayStation, let's talk about them for a minute, where they're coming from. So Microsoft has kind of given up the VR world, but PlayStation is definitely still full force into VR, hoping that that'll save their company. So they're betting big on the PSVR 2 from the article. It's from what we've seen in the news here. They're hoping to sell 2 million units. At launch, they want to have 2 million units ready for sale. It took them about 8 months for PSVR 1 to only sell 1 million units. Like,
Talk about
that's
hyping yourself up. That's how I feel.
yeah. They're like, we're gonna ramp up production, and they're like, we're our own hype man. Let's go. And it's
Right.
like,
Do we? But like you obviously know like the hindering of the PlayStation VR is the fact that you have to have a PlayStation 5 to be able to
yeah,
use the
like
PSVR 2.
I'm over here. I've got this sucker right here, and I can use it on my phone, on my computer, on my wife's computer, on every. I can I can do anything with this. This thing is huge, and it works so nicely, and it's the same. It's cheaper. It's cheaper than the PSVR.
Right, and that's the crazy part. Like I've used the Quest before, and I love the Quest. Like that was a great thing, and I've never used the PlayStation VR, so I can't give my initial impacts or
Yeah,
of that one specifically. But when there's limitations where I have to have it hooked up to a PlayStation at all times, you limit the use of that. What if I that?
yeah.
So now you're telling me I gotta buy a PS5, which is already hard to find, for $500. Then I gotta buy a PSVR 2, which is God knows how much.
Another
And
four
five,
hundred,
another
three
four,
hundred.
four or $500. Like now I'm out a
It's just
thousand
silly.
and I can't go places with it. I have to stay wherever my console is. So it's just like,
Exactly.
that doesn't sound like a win to me at all. It's
No,
like
not at all.
PlayStation has me so confused. Like they were like ahead of the game. They had the PlayStation Vita, the PSP. Man, this is this
They
is
got
this
high
con.
on their own farts, dude. That's what I'm saying. They literally took the blue pill and they're just like, we are the greatest. There is no need for improvement, and that's where we failed. PlayStation has lost their momentum because they haven't improved. Microsoft has always been fighting that uphill battle. So now they're here, they're like, hey, we're good. We're we have to improve. Like we've been there. We've been there when Xbox almost flopped. So every time we turn around, we've made mistakes. We've got to fix them. PlayStation's like, dude, our brand name's gonna carry us.
Pretty much at that point.
Let's talk about the PS5, dude, before we, get too lost in this. The
Yeah.
PS5 is also now jailbroken. So there is now a way to jailbreak your PS5. So, I'm not supporting this or telling anyone to go do it. So, like, let's make that clear.
Yeah, for sure.
The PS5 though is jailbroken. So we have found that on the web you can break open your PS5 software and do whatever you want with it.
Right, and the only way to do this is by doing it if it's on a certain firmware update. Like it has
Correct.
to be on a certain firmware for it to work. But people who have jailbroken it have already downloaded like the PT demo, which is completely inaccessible, but they found it and put it on their PS5. So it's like,
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And honestly, like, if we want to talk about it, like, it brings up memories from the past, like our childhood. And I completely forgot about it until we were talking about it off stream. Was we played on
Yeah.
jailbroken consoles?
You
Actually, the
you were
OG,
like, dude, how
the
do you jailbreak a console? And I was like, don't you remember my PS2 or my Xbox?
Xbox.
They were jailbroken. Like we literally had a game launcher built into the PS2, so you could literally play any game you wanted. There was a hard drive bay in the back of the PS2 that you hooked a hard drive to the LAN connection drive attachment. There was an attachment you could
hmm
buy for the PS5 or PS2, hook it onto the back, and it also added a connector, a SATA connector for a hard drive that connected into or just sat inside of the actual PS2. And then we just booted games off of it.
Bro, we played
Like I
so
didn't
many
need
games off of
CDs
it.
anymore.
Right. We were playing digital copies before digital copies became where they are today.
Exactly. But let's talk about PlayStation where they are with their exclusives. So we found PlayStation's announced that all of their catalog should hopefully in the future be coming to PC. But when that happens, it's going to take a year before it gets there. So that it'll release as an exclusive on PlayStation, and then a year later will be uploaded to the PC stores. So you'll be able to, for example, play God of War Ragnarok, which we know this week has gone gold.
hmm
Um, Ragnarok is being printed right now. In a year from launch, you'll be able to play it on PC, hopefully, is the idea.
Right. And I think from the same article that they brought up was like anything that has multiplayer components is more than likely not going to come to PC. They don't want to deal with the whole cross-play,
Yeah.
cross-platform kind of situation. They're just kind of taking the easy, cheap way out, saying, "Hey, if you want to experience our story mode games, you gotta wait a year. Then they'll come to
And
PC."
honestly, I'm fine with that. Like, they're gonna make bank. Freaking Miles Morales is coming to PC, or already is. I think it's coming. It's not here yet. But the Spider-Man game hit,
hmm
and everyone lost their fucking mind, and it was good. Everyone was happy with it.
Because it runs better on the PC than it
Yeah,
did the
it was a good
PlayStation.
game. Exactly.
Because I remember,
So,
remember back when they first announced the Spider-Man game in the trailer, and all the fucking puddles were all over the place, like the water and the details. Like, yo, this game like is
and
blowing
then
game development out of the
they
mind. Game
pulled it
comes
back.
out, none of the puddles were there. They had like one little dinky puddle, barely. Like they were like, "This is trash, bro. Like this is not the same game that you showcased to me."
Yeah. And so like talking about bait and switching, the PlayStation Stars program that they've announced, now they're trying to they're trying to make certain fans special loyalty members. So like if you're a certain fan, you've done certain things, there's a hidden loyalty tier that they're going to offer to people that give them even more stuff, and you don't know it exists. Oh, it's only for the most diehard fans. Like, what is this? What is this Stars program?
Right. It's supposed to be some kind of like rewards program, but like it's not really rewarding to your average consumer. It's like if you have money,
It's
you're gonna have all the best service. You get these hidden things that we can't even tell you about. But it's just like, how do I get there?
Yeah, exactly. It just feels like they're like, we're gonna do so many cool things. What are you doing? I don't know, but it's gonna be cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
PlayStation, man, just another bad PR move in my eyes.
Yeah, but so let's talk about acquisitions from Fandom. Fandom this week had bought a bunch of other companies, like a bunch. Fandom acquired 7 companies this week, talking about monopolies and stuff like that. Fandom is one of those big sites for everything, anything. So like if you're a fan of something, whether it be Star Wars, a video game, some niche sort of show that you watch, if there is a fandom for it, there is a fandom page. It's the
hmm
wiki that allows you to find out everything you want to know about a specific character or a specific thing or a specific event in a game or pop culture. This site, Fandom, has acquired 7 other sites to kind of break out of their little comfort zone there. They bought GameSpot, Metacritic, TV Guide, GameFAQs, Giant Bomb, Cord Cutters News, and Comic Vine this week.
This was a massive purchase, dude. And the thing is, they got
Yeah,
all of this for roughly about $55 million, which is it's pretty steep
pennies.
for like that. Like, but
It's
that's
pennies.
But isn't it? Wouldn't you think it would be steep for a company that is only a wiki site that
Yeah,
probably only get money from donations typically? That's
ads.
or ads. Like so, like their revenue based off of ads and donations to be able to spend $55 million took time to get to that. To
But every time you search something about a game or something like that, you're always directed to a fandom page. Let's be honest here. You don't realize it, but that's what's happening.
Right, but yeah, for them to buy like the three major ones are, or I should say four. GameSpot, which is huge. I get a lot of their news sources from there that come onto the podcast. Honestly, funny enough, Metacritic. Obviously, we use Metacritic based off of like reviews to see how well both a game and a movie does. And then TV Guide. I mean, TV Guide's been around since TV existed. I mean, remember back in the day watching TV Guide, and we have to wait, see what's going to be on TV, and you had to wait until it scrolls on by. And then Games Facts, like those are obviously like a very useful FAQ page. But the other three, like Giant Bomb, Cord Cutters News, and Comic Vine, like those are
Smaller things.
smaller things that are probably won't have that big of a splash, but they are touching on just about everything in like the
Mhm.
gaming industry, the media industry. So it's pretty cool to see that. We'll see how it goes. See if there's any improvements, like if it affects the day-to-day news sources.
Yeah. Let's talk about before we get into the some let's talk about graphics cards for a minute here. So, talking about some big changes in the industry this week, graphics cards. So, did you see the new graphics cards from Intel, the 40 series?
Yeah, the 40 series, dude,
They're
looks insane. Like the fact that
they're
they're
like
going to
the
be able to
size
do
of a mini fridge.
right, they can do 8K gaming. Who the fuck is doing 8K gaming? Like I just
No one. These things, these cards, like the community is talking about it, these cards are really designed for mining rigs. They had mining rigs in mind, and now they're like, shit, we gotta backpedal and fit this into a mid-tier ATX case.
yeah,
Like,
good luck.
what?
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
don't. It's really interesting because like what they did with the 30 series, like they were like, all right, these are anti-mining cards, like they're not going to really work well, but they ended up finding like a backdoor to make them work anyway. But
yeah,
then
they didn't care.
The 40 series were like, meh, we're just going to let them do whatever they want.
Exactly. Um, it just, it's so silly, but Disco Elysium, talking about some game studios this week. One of the big games recently produced by Disco Elysium, the devs behind that game involuntarily left. So turns out they may have been doing some bad practices or selling insider secrets for their company and stuff like that to other people looking for better jobs. So if you were a fan of Disco Elysium, beware the next game may not be as good.
Right, and according to IGN's article here, that the who they interviewed and got this information from, basically saying that the cultural organization no longer represents the ethos it was founded on, like the good value, the good
Mhm.
vibes, doing the right thing. It no longer goes by that. Now it's just like your numbers. We're producing a game. I don't care how long you're here for. Like we don't care about people more or less, and
Yeah.
that happens when companies get big, unfortunately. And that's the corporate America that we live in. I hate it. I'm an avid person that goes and fights this kind of stuff every day, but it's just like when is it enough? Like you're letting go like some of the best developers because you can't handle like the business part of it and treating people the right way. I don't know, dude. Like this kind of stuff
Yeah,
gotta
it's
stop
just
popping up in our news.
it's you just gotta not support these studios anymore. That's all. Don't buy the game, don't play the game. That's all. Like if it's a good game for sure, play it on Game Pass, I guess. But like remember, at the end of the day, like every dollar you give them every time you play it, it goes towards their numbers and like it just supports the message that they are. Vote with your dollar. And talking about voting with your dollar, Valve released the stats for the Steam Deck this week, and the pre-orders are now available for $89. The Steam Deck will be delivered in 1 to 2 weeks. It'll have three USB 3.1 sockets. It'll have one HDMI port, a display port, and gigabyte Ethernet jack. So looks a little interesting. I think it's pretty cool. It's better docked than the honestly, I wouldn't say it's a better dock than the Switch dock. I don't like that the cable has to come up and connect to the top of the Steam Deck, but
Hmm.
it's an interesting concept here. It works. It's rather expensive, but
Yeah,
it
cause
seems like a nice dock. It has all the stuff you're looking for to be able to do what you need to do, like built-in Ethernet.
Right. It's definitely such a simplistic dock, but like I'm with you on this one. Where $89 is kind of steep for just a dock that it sits on, because like there's other alternatives that were already available on Amazon, because they know that this the dock got delayed by a few months because obviously the
Yep.
Steam Deck's been out for a while, so there were other alternatives that people already have. So I don't know how many people are going to honestly pre-order
We
this
want
or
this.
even want to get this if they already have one.
Exactly. Next up on the docket here, we've got games and movies, like game movies and TV. So we have the new Mario movie. We saw that this week. If you haven't seen it, we have the trailer. Uh, and talking about the Mario movie, we actually have people jokingly making trailers as well for a fan-made game that looks as real as it does. But take a look here. We have the trailer for the new Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool though. I actually thought it was going to be more of like a live action Mario movie, and
Yeah, same.
not like like a legit anime movie or animated movie, not anime.
Yeah, I was honestly, I was expecting animated like this. I was expecting because like I didn't need actual Chris Pratt or actual Jack Black. I
Wouldn't
just it
wouldn't
wouldn't
have
have
been
worked.
funny? Like it would have been funny
Nah,
looking.
I honestly I prefer it, and this trailer looks pretty fly. I honestly was super excited with how it turned out. Like, the Bowser felt good, the characters felt good, like, and the humor's there.
And the fact that those are the penguins that you save in Mario N64, like that little tie-in,
Saved,
yeah, that's yeah
saved.
saved, because clearly they get annihilated.
Yeah. It's definitely looks interesting, but a fan released some trailer for their new game here made in Unreal Engine that literally has Chris
Chris Pratt.
Pratt Mario. So like it's him and they animated him as Mario and it looks pretty legit. But while we're talking about games and movies and TV, we also know that the Sony investment into From Software, we may be getting some actual From Software movies here. Could you imagine like the absurdity and like lack of story that From Software has as a movie?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, Elden Ring was very successful. Bloodborne was one of the best games ever made. The Dark Souls series, like they have a lot to pull from.
The the lore is so scarce though. There's not really much lore a lot of times. Like yeah, there's stuff in the background that you can piece together, but these games are traditionally not very lore intensive up
Hmm.
front.
No, yeah, for sure. But maybe this is the avenue that they can take to add lore to it, because I mean,
Maybe.
some games honestly start off with nothing. Like that's the game. That's the only lore that you go by, and you build off of it. And that's something that they could look into. Honestly, I mean, like the setting that it has, like you could be very creative and come up with a bunch of different ideas. So I'd be curious to see, honestly, a movie or even just like a TV show or anime at this point.
Maybe. But talking about something that's a little more lore intensive, we've got the Medium. Medium is getting a TV show here. Do we have a date for that yet? Or it's just like, is it 2023, 2024?
I don't think there's one yet. I think they just announced that they have one in the works, which is interesting because the Medium is like more of like a horror game
Hmm.
that released 2 years ago. I want to say at
Yeah,
this point, and basically it has like a split reality. Like the game simulated like one version of the world that you were in, but then on the other side it was a different version. You control both players
yeah.
at the same time, but you can only access certain areas like with one of the characters and not the other, and it was just pretty cool. But I'd be interested to see how this plays into like a movie or a TV show.
Yeah. All right, so that is the industry news. We had a lot this week, but
Yeah.
let's hop into the gaming news for a minute and talk about like Game Pass, for example. So Game Pass this year has announced their numbers for the first time, and we're looking at almost a $3 billion generation of revenue from Xbox Game Pass alone.
Bro, this is huge, and this is the first time that they ever released numbers like this in regards to how much money Game Pass makes. And these numbers were released because of the investigation that Brazil implemented, and obviously we just talked about how they approved the Microsoft purchase of Activision Blizzard. So to see $2.9 billion, that's a lot because that makes like
That's
eight
20% of
yeah,
Microsoft's revenue.
right, 18% of Microsoft's total yearly Xbox revenue. Like that's a lot. And they also revealed like how many users there are, and they went from 15 million that they released a while ago up to 18 million. And back in 2020, they only had 10 million. So from 10 million up to 18 million, like in just 2 years, that's a lot. And the fact that they're planning that it could end up around 25 million by the end of this year or start of next year. So 10 million to 25 million, that's just incredible. Obviously, there's value in Game Pass. We talk about it every day. All
It's
these
a
new games,
monopoly.
yeah,
It's
it
it
just
it's going
works.
to it's gonna be the monopoly man kind of money here.
And
And
I,
a monopoly. It
right,
just nobody else is challenging them on it at this point, and it's gonna get scary before we find something good from it. Don't get me wrong, it's great for the consumer right now, but
right.
it could always change tomorrow.
Right,
So
exactly. Because it depends on like what kind of quality games are we going to start getting. If you put everything under one umbrella, one monopoly, like you start to lose quality then. Versus like now it becomes a quantity versus quality kind of thing.
I'm gonna make my money no matter what. It's gonna get on Game Pass, I'll make my money.
Right, but like you said, it's right now it's consumer friendly because I don't have to buy games anymore. Like I buy like a handful of games throughout the year, and I'm just fine.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of the games they come right to Game Pass. Play them day one, or they get
Yeah.
added like a couple months later. But regardless, like they still come to Game Pass, and no complaints here.
Yeah. We've got news from Razer is doing a collaboration with Microsoft.
Yeah, not
They
much.
have a $200 controller that nobody asked for.
Yeah, Microsoft does these interesting partnerships with Razer all the time. Like whenever they release a new controller, they add like a charging dock or something that matches it specifically. I love this controller, but not for $200. Like everybody knows
Of course. No,
how excited I am over controllers. I love to buy and collect controllers. This is
that's
one of
unreal,
them
dude.
that I'm not getting because of that price tag. I'm sorry.
It's not even that great. Like honestly, I think it's okay at best.
I love it. I love the design. I love that color. I love the fade. I love the see-through. Like we don't get a lot of
Hmm.
see-through stuff anymore. Like that was back in like the N64 days
That was
when
the
the
90s. It
yeah.
was the 90s aesthetic.
And honestly, I love it. The black one that I have is kind of see-through, and it's one of my favorite controllers. But not for
Hmm.
$200. Like if this comes down to like normal price, 60, $70, yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But two hundred
All right.
dollars, like what do we talk about all the time? The Elite controller. The Elite controller for two hundred
Yeah.
dollars, I can get an Elite controller with fully kitted, and then I'm set. Which I talked about the other day with Overwatch. I think the Elite controller would be perfect for Overwatch because when I'm playing as Pharah or whatever with the jetpack, I have to hold my controller like this, like my hands like crippled. Like I'm using this is the A button, this is my trigger button now, and then I'm trying to move the stick around with this one. Like that's difficult to do as opposed to just holding it like normal.
I mean, a keyboard and mouse would take care of that super fast.
Yeah, I don't like keyboard and mouse. I only play it for Valorant.
Oh, look at baby's first shooter over here. All right, so let's talk about Game Pass and a bunch of stuff around Game Pass here real quick. So first of all, we got Flight Sim. Uh, Microsoft Flight Simulator is adding their 11th world update. We're getting the Canada update, so we'll have a bunch of Canada monuments, Canadian places, a bunch of different airports, just some cool new features.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see different parts of the world get these updates because they go in and they actually like detail like even more detailing these
Mhm.
certain areas. And which interesting enough, we didn't even cover it, but obviously we know that hurricane that went through Florida, Ian, I think its name was, and people were able to fly through that hurricane in Microsoft Flight Sim because it uses like real time weather updates in the game as well. For those who didn't know that, so people were flying through Ian with in the game, so that was pretty cool.
And then we've got Bethesda announces that Deathloop is in the Dishonored universe, so we might see some collaborations here from Deathloop and Dishonored, so that the content more meshes,
Hmm.
and maybe the next game might be a crossover.
I'm curious to see how it is. I played a little bit of the Dishonored one. I haven't played the Deathloop just yet because it just came to Game Pass and I'm going to play it here soon. But I'm curious. I mean, it's a very successful franchise from Arcane Studios and they've been doing really well. But right now they got Redfall coming out here next year.
Yeah, hopefully Redfall is going to be awesome. It looks good.
Hmm.
Just hope it doesn't flop.
Right.
But let's talk about Game Pass, just what Game Pass does for a game. So, like Game Pass, first of all, was some new perks that this month we have a new Fallout dynamic background added to the Xbox so that to celebrate the 25th year of Fallout, the Fallout franchise. We'll get the Evil housewarming bundle that drops on the 11th of this month. If you want Need for Speed Heat Deluxe Edition upgrade is going to be available on the 11th of this month. And then Apex Legends from Above Weapon Charm is also going to be added on the 11th of this month. So you get a bunch of different exclusives just for having Game Pass.
Yeah, and that's only
It
touching the
feels
surface
like,
because Game
yeah,
Pass perks page has like a ton of shit, and you'll get like I got Disco Nitro for like 3 months from it. If you don't have like Disney Plus or Hulu, like they'll give you free months of that kind of stuff too all the time. So, man, there's so much value when it comes to Game Pass, more than just the gaming part of it.
yeah, it just has a bunch of free stuff. It's kind of like Twitch gaming. It's like Amazon Prime
Hmm.
gaming and stuff. So Um, Game Pass had a bunch of additions last week and this week, and one of the craziest ones is Chivalry 2. It's both cloud console and PC. And after they dropped it on Game Pass, this game went from where it was, less than 100,000 players or something like that, to 500,000 players. It just goes to show how much Game Pass breathes life into new game or into old games.
Right.
You know, this isn't like that old, but like the player base disappeared. Game Pass said now play it for free, and 500,000 people took them up on the offer.
Right. I mean, that's just incredible, honestly. I mean, because we see the numbers of like from Steam players and stuff like that all the time. They're like, oh, new records, 100,000. Like Xbox Game Pass did 500,000. Like that's
Just for, yeah, just like casually. And that's a lot of people. And remember, they only have what, like, 18 million subscribers. That's a 36th of the Xbox Game Pass subscriber base just decided to play Chivalry 2 all of a sudden
right. And Chivalry 2, for those who don't know, is like Call of Duty or Battlefield more or less, but like
in
swords and
medieval warfare.
shields, yeah, the bow and arrows, stuff like that. So it's a pretty fun gameplay loop.
All right, so other than Chivalry 2, we had 8 other releases that are coming or came out, and one of them is pretty crazy. Comes out next week. We didn't talk about it, but
Not yet.
it's next week's winner for the releases. But we'll talk about it this week because it got announced. So we have Medieval Dynasty for Xbox Series X and S. We have The Walking Dead, both the complete first season and season 2 on PC. We've got Costume Quest for cloud and console. We've got Evil, which comes out for console and PC. The Dyson Sphere program for PC. Scorn comes out for all the consoles, PC and cloud.
Next gen
And
only.
then next gen only. Yes, that's correct. Sorry. Next gen, all the consoles, next gen, cloud, and PC. And then we've got a Plague Tale Requiem next week. So we've got two big games. We've got Scorn this week, and you only got 4 days to beat it. Then you got Plague Tale Requiem next week, and that's for the Xbox X and S, PC, and cloud. So that's next gen exclusive as well.
Right, and I love how like Scorn and Plague Tale Requiem are next gen games, but they're coming to cloud, so they allow you to play it on the previous gen consoles via the cloud.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you're not left behind.
And then, so we also got announcements for what's coming and what's leaving. So, like next year in January, we're gonna see Persona 3 and 4. They're gonna jump to the Xbox. These are PlayStation games. These are PlayStation exclusives that are now just gonna be on Xbox in January.
Right, because Persona 5 is either already there or it's right around the corner. Like it's already has a um the release date in regards to that.
Yep. And then we also have stuff leaving next week. If you want to play these, you need to play them now. And I know one of them is one you're looking for, that you really like. Not looking for, but a game you enjoyed. Sable
Hmm.
leaves Game Pass next week, so make sure if you haven't checked it out, Vic has a review out there, and the game is one of you would recommend, right?
Yeah, highly recommend Sable. Sable has like that Star Wars Jakku kind of feeling. You're in this desert and you're just trying to discover who you are and what you're gonna be to the society and stuff like that. So you go
Mhm.
out on this open adventure. Like there's no linear path at all. There's no directions to say, hey, go here, do this. It's kind of just explore and just kind of do your own thing. And you collect masks. And once you collect three of that same mask, you can actually become that type of person. So it's pretty cool. Definitely check it out. And I like the art style it does have. I'm sad to see it leaving though.
Yeah. And then we've also got Ring of Pain, Into the Pit, Echo Generation, Blood Roots, and The Good Life leaving. So if any of those are things you want to play, want to beat, something that's going on, make sure you check them out. They're leaving next week, so you only have a few days left.
And I just
Well,
looked it up.
sorry, they're leaving this week. I apologize. They're leaving this Saturday.
Yeah, the 15th. But I did look it up. Persona 5 comes to Game Pass on October 21st. So that's another game that's coming to Game Pass this month. That's going to be a pretty big game.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff, and this is all just Game Pass handing out free games.
It's great. I love it.
So, that is our Xbox segment we have here. Like, it's pretty big,
Yeah.
let's be honest. But we've got even bigger news coming on. So, like, Splatoon Splatfest, the next one is actually going to be Pokemon themed. So we're going to be able to decide once and for all what starter is the best. Is it grass, fire, or water? We'll be able to tell next month because the community will tell us whether you're team green, red, or
Hey,
blue.
me and Disney Princess on fire. Team Fire.
Sorry that you guys are wrong, but it's always grass. So
Nah.
grass is best. We have Bulbasaur. You can't win that argument. Like Bulbasaur's best.
Oh, but we got Charizard.
I mean, we got Deucedai. I'm sorry.
But yeah, man, that's pretty cool to see their crossover. It kind of makes sense. Nintendo owns both properties. Why not try to have that? And Splatoon seems like an interesting one to do it with the whole colorful aspect of it.
I'm out here about to ban Disney Princess. Grass ain't ass.
but
Some grass, bro.
in regards to Valorant though, our game that we play all the time and we have our stream tomorrow, patch 5.07 came out. What's going on with that patch?
So we got flash changes. In addition to flash changes, we've got Reyna changes. Reyna's near sight is no longer ranged, which actually makes her a little more terrifying. Her flash is quicker. Well, her near sight is quicker and it's no longer ranged, so you can't do it for teammates like flash through walls and stuff. You put it out right in front of yourself now.
Yeah.
So it's a big change. But coming with that, we also have Fracture. Fracture has been reworked, and this week we actually got to test that out. We didn't do it on stream because Fracture wasn't in the ranked queue this week. Like we didn't play Fracture until after the ranked queue it went live. So
You guys checked it out because I wasn't part of those games yet. Because we played Pearl.
yes.
Pearl had the changes already. But
Yeah, I played Valorant last night actually with the group, and the fracture changes are big. They're
okay.
pretty big. The changes do feel pretty aggressive by Dish. But
Hmm.
that's really about the biggest changes that really are out there. Like that site is the only thing that I really noticed the changes meaningfully.
Right. I like the change on B too, though. That the ramp, you no longer have to jump up. Like it's just
Yeah,
a ramp
it's
up.
just a ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes those like, oh shit, I gotta hurry up and get up there, kind of like easier. I don't
You
have to worry
don't
about
have to
jumping.
learn how to bunny hop, which yes is a skill for CS:GO clones, but like it's nice not have to know how to bunny hop.
Right. It just makes it more welcoming to all players.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to a disaster this week in gaming news. Far Cry 6 decided that they're going to have a Game of the Year edition for their game, and they're going to charge you $120 for it. And they didn't win Game of the Year, so they're gonna sell you their Game of the Year edition for twice the price and no award. Like
Yeah.
this is a game that was bad and didn't get an award, and they're like, "We won! We're the winner!" And you're like, "No, you didn't win anything."
Right.
And they're
Um.
gonna sell it to you for $120 fucking dollars. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So my thoughts on this
Eh,
though is Far Cry 6. I enjoyed it. It's a very beautiful, detailed world. The story was fun, but it's just that Ubisoft open world kind of game. So we know the issues that comes with. But the Game of the Year edition being $120, A little steep, but a little not because it comes with the base game, comes with the three initial DLCs that it already launched with, and then it comes with a fourth DLC that was unannounced as well. So like, you get a whole bunch of DLCs. So if you're a big Far Cry fan, this is a great.
$120. It's so unreasonable. It is a terrible move. It makes PlayStation look good right now. Okay. That's all I'm gonna say on that. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I don't agree
Okay.
with the 120, but it does come with a bunch of content. It's not just a base game. So
Yeah,
and
but
no,
it's
and the
just like,
DLC was kind of big too. Like we can't
but
forget
why
how
call
big.
yourself Game of the Year
Yeah,
edition
that's
when
tripping. Like, but we covered
yeah,
this. We covered this last week about the rumor that it was supposed to come out. It's going to be called Game of the Year edition for no reason, but they may rebrand it. But they're not. They're calling themselves the Game of the Year, even though it didn't win the award from
yeah.
anybody. So
Talking about somebody who didn't win Game of the Year though. We actually had a huge news from CD Projekt Red this month.
hell yeah.
This was huge. The Witcher trilogy is getting a new trilogy, the next three games in the series, in in a 6 year period. So we're gonna get three games across 6 years. So every 2 years you'll get a new Witcher game. We don't know when this will start, but once the first one drops for over 6 years, you'll be able to get three Witcher games. So that's one drops, 3 more years, another one drops, and then another one drops 3 years after that, while also developing the Cyberpunk 2077 sequel and a brand new IP that we have no idea what it's about.
Yeah, this is really really exciting. Obviously, we've seen the rebound from Cyberpunk 2077 and the let going of the previous gen. New DLC that's already out now with the future expansion coming out later. Like, that's doing really well. We know the success from The Witcher 3. We already knew about the first Witcher game, that the new one that's coming out. So that's right around
But
the
to
corner.
know that it's a part of a trilogy,
Right, which is interesting because we don't know where this story goes because, like, this has to probably potentially follow a different story or a different
it has
character.
to follow Ciri at this point. Geralt is still alive, Ciri's alive, a lot of the characters are still alive. It's just some of the supporting cast is now dead, so the world is in turmoil. And remember, they're rewriting the entire, Witcher fan base because the books ended right when the first game began. So like at this
Hmm.
point, CD Projekt Red has no source material that they have to follow at this point. They are the makers of their own destiny. So they have so much setting to work with that they pretty much can do
Hmm.
anything with it.
Yeah, but it was nice for them to come out and just basically announce their next 10 years, basically, because
Yeah,
that's exactly what they did. They came out and say, "Hey, this is our 10-year roadmap. We got all these games coming out. They're all in the works. Hope you guys are excited." And it was like a perfect time because the upcoming of Cyberpunk, the revitalization of Cyberpunk, it was like they're doing great. It's been like the number one selling game on Steam. Like, it's been 20 million players have returned to Cyberpunk. Why not ride that wave and say, "Hey, we got all these new stuff coming out too." It just builds that hype, and it's great to see CD Projekt Red rebound from that disaster they had back in 2020.
definitely. Let's talk about a game that did really well, Hitman 3. There's a new freelancer mode coming, but it has been delayed until January 23rd of next year. It is be a roguelike mode where the missions are randomly generated.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I mean, Hitman 3's been out for what, 2 3 years now at this point,
3 years.
and it's still continually getting that kind of update. And we know that IO is working on another game. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, they're working on some kind of James Bond game, which kind of fits into their genre, obviously.
Exactly.
So it's going to work, but it's cool to see that this great game, because Hitman 3 could have won Game of the Year when it did release as well. It was just, it came out early, and there were
Yeah, definitely.
when did Hitman 3 come out? Let me just look that
I
up real
think
quick.
it's I think
Release
it's
date
2018,
2021 was the 20, it was,
2021?
yeah, last year.
Really?
Yeah.
No, Hitman 3 has to be older than that.
Nope, January 20th. It was the beginning of the
That's
year.
crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
it feels like older than that, honestly, but
Yeah,
Game of the Year was what, It Takes Two won it last year.
yeah, definitely. So like you forget even it happened, but that game was a meme, but also pretty good at the same time. And the whole game is in VR as well, which kind of went under our radar. If you I didn't even know until recently that Hitman the series is in VR.
Well, yeah, that's the other port, but yeah, because you can
Yeah.
play the trilogy on Xbox. I think they're on
Mhm.
1 and 2's on Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken, and they're tough ass games. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah. All right, so we've got one last thing to talk about this week, Vic, and I know you're excited.
Yeah.
I was like, but Need for Speed, we're finally getting like the rumor is now getting solidified. We've got the initial the official announcement. Need for Speed got announced, and it's a hybridized aesthetic game. It looks very animated, but also with realistic graphics. So the characters themselves will be animated styled.
Hmm.
A lot of effects will have that colorful, that sharp, that beautiful animation, while also being very realistic with the world.
Right. Some people have been describing it like a Need for Speed game with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse effects, and I think that
Yeah,
hits it right on the head right there. Like this game actually has me excited for a Need for Speed game, which it's been a long time since I've been excited for a Need for Speed game. And
like the last one I played on PlayStation, and it was very good.
like I remember growing up, we used to play like Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2 or Most Wanted,
Hot Pursuit.
Hot Pursuit 1 and 2, or even going back even further to the PlayStation 1, High Stakes. Like that, like Need for Speed's been around for a while. But I like the collaboration that they got going on here with ASAP Rocky, the hip hop R&B artist. He's in the game. He's providing music for the game, so it's pretty cool to see that collaboration going on. But I love
Well,
this art
that's
style.
something Need for Speed is known for, is that the soundtrack.
Yeah,
It's always known for its righteous soundtrack, you know.
right. And I think this is
It's
the kind of
all
game we need because like right now all the shooters we got are like them basically simulation games. Like
Mhm.
Forza Horizon 5, GT7, like, and then the new upcoming
Oh,
Forza
you
Motorsport.
said shooter games. I
Oh,
think you meant the racing
yeah,
games.
racing game. My bad. Racing games because like we just been having a bunch of like
Yeah.
realistic racers, and
Yeah, we want stuff that drives like a real car. Oh, I want to adjust my tires so I don't slip on rain, you know?
right. So it'd be cool to get something like this, like an arcade shooter, or Jesus,
Oh,
arcade racer. Sorry.
okay, so yeah, all right. I wasn't crazy. You are talking about shooters. But Vic, let's hit our last segment for the week here, our gaming rumors. PlayStation. The Horizon series is rumored to be getting a remaster or a remake for Horizon Zero Dawn for the PS5.
Yeah.
And
So
then we're possibly getting a Horizon multiplayer game.
yeah. So to hit the first one here with the Horizon Zero Dawn remake, this kind of like has the gaming industry kind of like scratching their heads because like we don't need a remake or a remaster of a game that already looks modern now, like as it is. Like there, it doesn't really need that remaster. The game's only 5 years old. It doesn't need a remake. So it's just like, why is PlayStation wasting the time and the resources for this kind of stuff? We have no idea. But a multiplayer game in this universe, it'd be interesting. I'm open for the idea. I don't know how well it could do, but I'm open for the idea. But the Horizon story, like the world that it's in, I really enjoy the post-apocalyptic world and what happened to that world. Because once you beat the first
Yeah.
game, you understand what happened to society, why
Oh yeah.
they're at why they got to where they're at.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, and maybe it'll be really cool to see a multiplayer game. But I'm thinking if we get a multiplayer game, it's probably gonna end up like a PUBG, a battle royale style game, I bet.
That'd be interesting. I'm just curious to see how it is like, but maybe like because you can obviously in Horizon like you can connect with the robotic creatures and like you're like, oh, I see one over there, like the raptor. I'm gonna hijack one of those, and you go into battle with one of those next to you, or like someone tamed a T-Rex. Like yeah, that would, like a battle royale with that might be crazy. You might be onto
Well, and
something.
it's 30 people drop in and you have to survive against all these monsters with like no gear, and there's like a T-Rex
Hmm.
on the map that's just like hunting people down. Last man standing style here. And it's just like, oh, I knocked, you pretty much just drop somebody and they're not dead yet, and the T-Rex is just like, goodbye. All right, so PlayStation. Also, there's a rumor that Jim Ryan flew to Brussels to speak with EU regulators about the acquisition.
Yeah,
So this spell difficulty for Microsoft?
I doubt it. I just think it's PlayStation crying wolf. Basically, Xbox has actually created an entire website to showcase the benefits of this acquisition of Activision Blizzard. They keep releasing numbers and just it just backs it like it only makes sense for them to purchase it. Like there's
Well,
nothing
yeah,
negative about it.
It makes sense for Microsoft to buy Sony, let's be honest here, but they're not going to be able to do that.
Right.
Buying anyone, but like Blizzard, they're huge. Their Activision Blizzard is a staple in gaming. Like Call of Duty will not die because people like you.
Yeah, that's fine.
So like what I'm saying is like, yeah, it's a great purchase, but like at the same time, we got to be worried about the monopoly of gaming at some point.
Yeah, I just don't think
Uh,
it's time because when we got Embracer
yeah,
Group, who owns like 250 studios, and Microsoft has 32, don't think
but
that there's a
Microsoft
monopoly.
Microsoft is shitting on their numbers every day though. Let's be honest. If
Are they?
Microsoft, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't.
Microsoft is raking in billions from Game Pass.
Man,
All they need now is for WoW to be on Game Pass, and they're just like, we can print money. But talking about Xbox, Halo Infinite, rumor is 343 Industries is switching the game to Unreal Engine.
and the reason why I wanted to add this because one, that's huge, and honestly, I'm for it because we know how great the Unreal Engine 5 is. But maybe
But
this
for
goes
them
to
to rebuild the whole game in Unreal Engine,
right, but I'm sure they got other studios helping them in this transition. Obviously, we know that Gears of War, their studios
hmm
is known for using the Unreal Engine, so I'm
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
worried about that. But what I'm curious about is maybe the delay of all of this content is because
Is
they're transitioning to
yeah,
Unreal Engine, and that could and like if that happens, like okay, makes sense, but. That means like the decision should have been made before the game release. Like, all right, guys, we're going to delay the game 2 more years because we're
we
doing
already
this.
did delay it enough. I think they couldn't delay it anymore because of fans like you and me who were like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Yeah, so like I think they ran out of time to delay and it became just a cyberpunk situation. We can't delay anymore because we've delayed too much. So I think it's interesting to talk about, but if they are switching, we're probably just not going to see much from Halo for a while until the next game, Halo Infinite 2.
We also got that new Halo content that's coming out from Certain Affinity, the other
Mhm.
developer that they've been working on something for a couple of years, and there's no legitimate details in regards to it. So who knows what they're about to drop?
Maybe it's the band-aid we need for the Halo IP.
Right. I mean, obviously we know Forge is right around the corner, so like
And we
Halo's gonna
also
have a
talked about how 343 maybe pulled off Halo.
right. So we'll see how that this all plays out. Honestly.
Like they may just be like, "Yeah, we're moving to Unreal," and Microsoft's like, "No, you're not. You're moving to a different game. Goodbye."
Better luck next time.
Uh, but last but not least, we've got a rumor about a game that the industry is always super excited about. Kojima Studios tweeted a few stylized close-ups of cryptic questions like, "Who am I? Where am I?" Suggesting that maybe Kojima is working on a new game, and we might see something at the Game Awards in December.
I
Is
think we
this
will.
Death Stranding 2?
I
Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these are just the fanboys that are hyping this up, but if anything, it makes sense to see it at the Game Awards because Kojima has such a close connection with Jeff Keighley in his events. Obviously, he announced his podcast at a gaming showcase. Like
Yep.
that's not what we would expect at a gaming showcase is an announcement of a podcast from him, but that's another
But like
story.
Kojima is just sort of that he's that artist that everyone's like fawns over whether or not his games are truly amazing or not. He's
Hmm.
just sort of an innovator in the industry. And
Right.
so, everyone's excited to see what this innovator has next.
Right, and honestly, like yeah, like Death Stranding, is it a phenomenal game? No, but did it push the limits
But
of
he made walking fun.
yeah, like what he did in that game is different
Yeah,
altogether.
exactly.
So it's just like I'm for it. Like I love the open mind. Like he's not held by any restraints. Well, even when he was with Konami, I mean that's what ultimately led to the separation. Was he didn't want to be held down by some other company. I want to be able to
They
have
were
that.
like, we don't want to do this,
Right.
and we don't want this, and he's like, but this is what I'm doing, and they're like, no. So he was like,
he doesn't.
yeet.
He doesn't want to have those creative like restraints. He wants to have that creative freedom. And he was like,
Exactly.
"See ya. I make my own production company now. Don't need you." But that's all the gaming rumors we got this week, and I just wanted to end it off with a deep freeze moment. We haven't had one of these in a while, but this was a question I saw on Twitter, and it kind of had me thinking because we play Valorant a lot. But the question was, when will Valorant's roster be too big? Because League of Legends has 160 agents in comparison. When do you think it'll be
160
enough?
champions. I honestly I think Valorant's list is good right now, and adding a little bit is fine. I think the issue at hand is the more agents we get, the sooner we need a change, but the game's lore doesn't allow for that. The idea is you have the ability for the world to it's two worlds that collide,
Hmm.
two exact replicas essentially, which different timelines have happened, but you have the exact same agents, one good, one evil, on different sides of this sort of paradox. And so that's why you can have two phoenixes in a game. But the problem is it becomes when the roster gets so big, you end up running out of the diversity of the game actually shrinks when you get too many champions.
Hmm. Oh no,
You start to get five champions that are a must pick.
right.
It's sort of like Overwatch. How often do you see certain champions? Like there are champions you'll never see. They exist, but nobody plays them because there are just definitively better versions of them. At some point, we're going to start to have the same champion four times.
Yeah, for sure. But obviously, we know that that trailer, teaser trailer, whatever, just came out for the new agent. So that one's right around the corner, and we're sitting at what 20? He'll be 21, I think, 20 or 21.
Somewhere in the 20s, yes.
So I kind of like the pace that they're going at with adding the characters because like when they're adding the characters, they build lore behind it. Like, where did this character come from? Well, this is why he's in the story now.
Yeah,
So it's pretty cool how
yeah,
they build that story arc with from character to character, and then like the
I
introduction
agree.
of maps. Like the
I
introduction of maps
think
also help.
I think at some point though, we are gonna run into that point where like, yeah, cool, we add more lore, it's cool, but that's not why people play the game anymore. We don't
No.
like it's fun. We all get excited for this little bit of lore. It gives us something to talk about in the pre-game lobby, but when push comes to shove, you're just gonna choose the distinctly better champion. Like for example, Phoenix just stopped getting played because we had Sky. Why do a Phoenix flash when people knew where you were coming and it wasn't fast enough to take corners? You would throw the flash and people were like, "Yep, just put my crosshair here, you're dead." With Sky, you just had the ability to shoot your flash into a certain spot and then you could follow through at different angles and it just
Hmm.
there she was better in every way. Why have Breach when you had Sky? There was so much information on certain agents. Why take anyone but Chamber? Chamber is definitively the best for his style of gameplay. I
Hmm.
think we need to have a wider variety of maps, pick bans and stuff like that before we can talk about getting bigger rosters. Like at this point, we're getting to the point where there's enough champions. Like some of them are never going to get played.
Hmm.
Honestly, you're not going to see certain champions at some point.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to
When's the
see.
last time you saw Astra?
Other than Dom.
Even he barely plays her.
Right. Well, he
So
has
that's what I
he has
mean. Like,
specific maps that he plays her on. That's why.
but not really anymore. Like he plays Brimstone. That's what I mean. Like there are just definitively better choices because of the way they do their balancing of the game. So we're gonna start seeing champions that just disappear for a year and then they come back because they nerf the shit out of a different champion. And that's what happens in League. Like you'll definitively find that certain people will jive with certain champions, but they're just useless compared to other ones who do the same features. You start to run out of new ideas and your champions start to pretty much mimic each other.
Right. Right. So that's our deep freeze moment of the week. You got any last comments or remarks before we close out this
No,
week's
thanks for
episode?
joining us live, guys. It's always fun to have people in the channel and the chat too. I know everyone's sort of busy with Overwatch too, so most of you might check us out later on YouTube or Apple Podcast or wherever you find us at.
For sure. And Roger, where can we find you at?
Well, if you want to find me, I'm at twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion. I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays and Sundays.
There you go. And of course, you can check me out at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin underscore. Xbox is X Never Space Chilling. You want a game, party up, hit me up there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. Questions, concerns, you want to come on the show, hit me up there. And of course, I stream over at my Twitch, twitch.tv/ Mr. Never Chillin for any of my playthroughs. Currently, I'm playing through Metal Hellsinger and Assassin's Creed 2, and then obviously I've been streaming my Overwatch 2 gameplay to that, and sometimes Warzone. So I'm all over the place when it comes to my streams right now, and they're pretty random. So just make sure you have check me out, follow me, get those notifications going. But thanks for checking out episode number 63. But we want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.